Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Talking with Talent. Today, I have with me Macadie Amoroso, the wonderful actress. And I was about to list everything you've done, but I'm not going to do that just yet. We're going to go through things, your life, and all that jazz. Something I ask everyone at the very beginning is where it all began, because it's always very interesting. So don't feel you have to go into essays, but how did the dream of becoming an actress and a creative start for you?
I have actually quite a clear starting point for this. So originally, when I was 10 at primary school, we did this thing where they were like, "Oh, you've got to do a presentation of what you want to be when you grow up," and it never crossed my mind. Like I just hadn't thought about growing up and doing something. And I was very, very sporty to the point where I did 12 sports a week, and yeah, I was on every team, did every sport you can think of, pretty much. Um, and in that, so I decided to do the presentation on, like, I want to be an athlete, and I was like, I'm going to go to Loughborough University, I'm going to compete in the Olympics and going to be a runner, because that was kind of my sport, if you like. um, and then I developed Osgood-Schlatter's disease, which is a knee problem, which is caused from doing too many sports while growing, and you have to kind of wait until you grow out of it,
Wow.
which sucks. So I'd actually just done a year 6 production, and for once I was not cast as one of the 12 shepherds or one of the 12 dancers. I swear I was always one of the 12 something. And I got a decent role. We did the Rocky Monster Show, which is like a rip off of the Rocky Horror Show,
Yeah,
but
sure.
for kids.
Yeah.
And I played Elsa the Monster, and it was a very comic role. And I got to do a duet with Mungo the Monster and make the audience laugh. And I just absolutely loved it.
Mm-hmm.
So when I found out I had Osgood-Schlatter's, which was when I was 11, I was like, well, I have to quit all my main sport, all of my sport, apart from, say, the main school sport at the time. And so I was like, well, what do I do now? I can't be an athlete if I can't do my sport. And I was like, well, I really loved doing that show. And I was also a huge Doctor Who fan, and I used to watch Doctor Who Confidential religiously as well. And I was like, they get paid to do that? So I was like, I want to be an actor. And then I literally poured everything into it. And I did the Lambda stuff at school. I did every
Yeah.
school production. And then I looked at theatre schools I could go to, audition for the National Youth Theatre twice. And literally it was, yeah, I guess from about 12 onwards, I was like, this is it.
Yeah. Cool. So just backtracking a little bit. So 12 sports. Do you remember what they were? I mean,
Yeah, so more or less, I did, like, I'm being cheeky here because I split them into two things, because at
sure.
school you'd have long distance running and then you'd have short distance running, so I
Okay.
counted that
Yeah.
as two. But
Yeah, fair.
yeah, those two I did: tag rugby, netball, football, karate, roller hockey, swimming. Gosh, I did horse riding at one point. Um, Probably something else like rounders or whatever. But yeah, athletics I did. I went to an athletics club. So
Jeez,
yeah,
wow.
and it was because my primary school was just really sporty. There was a club on every lunchtime, and there was after school clubs as well. And I did all of them: every lunchtime club, every after school club, and then I did stuff outside of school as well, which
Wow.
was my
Fair enough.
karate and my roller hockey and
Yeah, yeah,
swimming.
yeah. Wow. And the dream was actually to go to Loughborough, which is where actually the town I grew up in.
Oh really?
Couldn't care less about sports, but the famous Loughborough University was around the corner from my
Yeah.
house. But yeah, that's wow, that's quite an incredible sort of start to, I guess, your creative side. And then you actually went on to get into NYT, National Youth
Mhm.
Theatre, and do some of their productions. How was your time there?
It was great. I I really recommend NYT to anyone who is under 25 and wants to pursue some kind of whether it's seriously or as a hobby, like theatre interest. I really, really highly recommend it, because it's just full of opportunities, and everywhere I go now I meet someone who is part of NYT.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah, I auditioned when I was 14, didn't get in. I auditioned again when I was 16, got in. And it sometimes I've heard of people auditioning 3 times and stuff, so it's worth again trying again.
Yeah.
Because it also shows that you want it.
Yeah.
And I did the intake course that summer, and I had Matt Harrison as my course director, who is a really, really good director and someone who I shout out all the time because Matt is great. And he was the reason why I applied to East 15 acting school, actually, because he went there. And I was like, oh, Matt's cool. I'll put East 15 down, not really knowing much about it. But I was like, yes, that's because of Matt. And so since joining MIT, I've done a show called F Off, which was at the Criterion Theatre back in 2018, I think. I went to Latitude with them in a spoken word show last summer. And I've done various bits and bobs in terms of creative leadership workshops and courses and things with them. When I was looking into it, I was a bit confused about how it worked. And just to kind of demystify that a bit in case anyone is confused. Once you get in, basically, you have to audition and then get accepted. And then once you get in, you do I think they might have changed it since my intake, because I joined in 2014, but it was a 2-week course for me, and I was on the junior course. But I think now they're 3 weeks or so. But obviously, I don't know. I know that it was online this year because of COVID and everything. But yeah, so you do this summer course basically for a couple of weeks, few weeks or so, and you at the end of those weeks you do a show, and then you're a member, and you're a member until you're 25. So I think actually until you turn 26, so you can make use of your 25th year. And basically how it works is once you're a member, you can sign up on their website, and they post things like external castings on there and opportunities and latest news and everything. And you can audition annually for their upcoming shows and projects in that year. So I think you pay one fee a year, which is, I can't remember how much it is, like around £30 or so, and then you have access to all of the members page basically, and then you can book a free annual casting audition, and that helps you be considered for upcoming projects in that year.
That's brilliant. I mean, thank you for explaining that, because I hope people out there will find that interesting. I didn't know that's how it worked, so that was really interesting for me. But yeah, so check out NYT. We'll tag them above as well. And but yeah, and then so from NYT, you then actually got into East 15. How was the audition process for drama schools? Was it just East 15 you went for as well, or?
I auditioned for a lot. I actually went for sixth form. I went to a performing arts place, which was called Tring Park School for the Performing Arts. They used to be joined with Arts Ed, and then they split. So I went to Tring just for sixth form, and I was on the drama course for those 2 years. But you also do your A levels on the side. So you have like half the day is academic, half the day is vocational. And so that was kind of like a foundation course at drama school. Because you're doing vocational drama training every day for 2 years. So that was really helpful. And also in terms of preparing for drama school auditions, obviously we had, our teachers on hand to ask advice of and all that kind of stuff, which was really useful, because I think I would have been a bit in the dark otherwise about the process and how it all works. Because I think there is a little bit of mystery about drama school auditions 100%. And what they're looking for and all that kind of stuff. And to be honest, you never really know. I auditioned for quite a few places. In my final year of sixth form when I was 17. And I think as well, I was quite, because I heard that the average age of people going to drama school was like 23. And I knew what I wanted, and I was like, but I know I want to go to drama school. I know I want to be an actor, and I kind of didn't want that to get in the way. But I also knew that statistics were against me to a degree. But yeah, I auditioned for a lot of places, and like I said, I put East 15 down because of Matt Harrison, and I didn't really know much about the school, and I didn't also know about the course that I eventually got onto, which was the Acting Contemporary Theatre course. And I think
Okay.
actually, surprisingly enough, I think my East 15 audition knocked my confidence the most.
Really?
Yeah,
That's
because I did
strange.
my classical piece first,
Uh-huh.
and I was stopped like 4 lines in, and um, then the the person like worked on it, like gave me some direction,
Hmm.
and I could just tell that I wasn't fulfilling what they wanted me to do.
Right.
Um, and then I'd sat back down after having done about a third of my piece, if that. And
Yeah.
I was just really disheartened because I was like, I'd put so much effort into it and I didn't even get
Mm.
halfway through.
Yeah.
And then a lot of the other people in my group did at least half their monologue. And I was like, was it just because I was the first person up? Or, there's all
Yeah.
these questions going through your head. But then I went to another room with another teacher from the school who happened to be the head of the acting contemporary theatre course, Uri. And it was kind of like get up when you want, when you're ready. And he was like, oh, I may direct you, but if I, it's rare that I do, but if I do, just go along with it. And so I got up when I was ready, did my piece, and
That's
he
so
was like,
strange.
he said, so they've made that into an opera, don't you? And I was like, uh, yes, which you're going to perform for us now, aren't you? I was like, yes. And he was like, and of course, it's going to be a big entrance and a dance instrumental because it's an opera. And I was like, okay. So I walked to the back of the room and did this like long walk into the middle of the room, and then started to sing this serious piece as an opera, which I'm not a great singer. And then had to do a dance and instrumental section, and I'm not a great dancer either. But I think because I was just so, yeah, I have, yes. And I just went along with it. I guess he saw something in me, and he called me back for the afternoon, and then
Right.
we did a workshop, and I had a informal chat with him,
Uh-huh.
and he kind of explained about the course and was like, it's kind of for actors who like to create, so
Mm.
actor musicians, actor directors, actor writers. And
Mm.
he explained a bit about the course and asked if I'd be interested, and I was like, yes. Because I'd been dabbling with writing poetry, and I liked
Right.
music, and I kind of was interested in directing. Not that I thought I would do it anytime soon,
Mm.
but
Mm.
yeah. And then I got my place a week later. But in my interview, he asked me if I'd consider deferring, and if I did, what would I do? And kind of in my head, I was like, oh, I know what I want, like, but so I don't think I'm going to defer. But if I did, I said yes, I'd consider it, and if I did, I'd go to Spain and learn Spanish because I love languages. And then I got my place a week later and was like, I don't know anything about this school. I don't know
Yeah.
anything about this course. Maybe that was a hint. Maybe I should defer because I'm 17 and everyone says that's really young to go to drama school. And so yeah, in the end, I did defer my place, and by chance, I deferred it twice, and joined when I was 20.
Right. Wow. And so, how was your time in? First of all, that was a incredible story. I mean, people have horror stories. I mean, it's probably obviously all in our own heads because we're young and under an insane amount of pressure to put our best foot forward for drama school auditions. But that is trial by fire for a drama school audition. Like,
Yeah, I think having worked with Uri for 3 years, I know that's like he trained with Gaulier in
mhm.
France, and so like that makes us like third gen Gaulier students or something.
Wow.
And so like it's a lot of the on the course we do a lot of devising. We do a lot of sort of improvisation with that devising, and it's kind of it teaches you how to be a good ensemble member. And I
Mm,
think taking someone's suggestion and rolling with it is
yeah.
an admirable trait in an ensemble member.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of what he does in the auditions. He kind of works out who he thinks would work well in a company, and
Mm,
because also he's got to think of the year group as a group, and who
yes.
like the dynamic within that. So, but
Mm.
although I kind of messed it up by deferring twice, so
Well, yeah, yeah. So actually, sort of fast tracking kind of through your time at drama school, I want to bring up your one woman play, and
ah,
where
yeah,
it's called Blue Beneath My Skin. Is that right?
yes, that's right.
And you
Yeah,
wrote that yourself.
I did. Yeah.
Was that for drama school, or was that aside, just to happen to be at the same time as your third year?
So It wasn't for drama school. So on my course, we do in third year what's called the debut festival,
Okay.
which happens in the new year of third year. Um, and that is a festival of all your own work. So there, in my year group, when I got to third year, there were 6 plays, because Uri, the head of course, chooses the plays that go in the debut festival.
Sure.
But we've all written, like one of us has written them, or you co-write them with another course member. So they're all written by the course, and we direct them, we're in them, we produce the festival. So it's literally a festival of completely our own work, really.
Yeah.
And so we had writing classes in second year to build towards that. And I'd started writing a one-woman show that was completely different to Blue Beneath My Skin. But I was really struggling with it. And then it got to May of second year, and I went to see this show at the Bunker Theatre called Funeral Flowers, which was a one-woman show written by Emma Dennis Edwards, I think. Okay. And it was in spoken word, and it was just incredible. I really, really loved it. And I met a woman called Anne Akin there, who took my annual casting for MIT back in February of that year.
Okay,
and
nice.
She remembered me completely, and was like, "How's these 15? What's going on?" And I was like, "Oh, it's good. I'm directing this. I'm doing this." And she was like, "Oh, we must keep in touch." So she gives me her number and her email address. So the next day I sent her a WhatsApp and was like, "So great to see you. Here's some links I've got of stuff coming up, and let me know what you're doing." 5 days later, she sent me a message, and it literally all the message said was, "Are you a writer by any chance?" And I was kind of thinking like, well, I write poetry, and I'm writing this play at the moment. It's not really going anywhere, but yeah, like the intention is to write. So I was like, yes, I am.
Yeah.
And she was like, great. I want to recommend you for this festival taking place in August. Can I have your email address? And I was like, okay, this is crazy.
Yeah.
So then she emails myself and Stephen Kavuma, who was curating this festival. Mm-hmm. And so he gets back to the email, and he says, like, thanks for introducing us, etc. Yes, so basically I'm curating this festival at the Bunker Theatre over August called This Is Black. It's like a space to show Black work, and I'm looking for work that's unapologetically Black, like Misty and Funeral Flowers. Have you got anything that'd be suitable? And I was reading this email being like, this is such a good opportunity. But A, I don't have a play, and B, I was like, I'm not Black, like, because I'd grown up in a very, very white area, and I'd grown up also without Black culture, and so I kind of had this whole sense of like confusion with my identity and displacement of being mixed race. And I was like, I don't know if this opportunity is for me. I don't know if I'd be taking up space going for this or not. And I had all these questions, and kind of I felt a little bit disheartened in a sense. But I was like, I'm not going to reply to it now. I'm going to leave it for the weekend, and I'm going to have a think. And over the weekend, because I've been wanting for a while to write something that focuses on being mixed race, and that kind of that feeling that I got, say, from reading that email and being like, but I don't know where I fit, and I don't, there's so many expectations and can't think of the right word, but like associations that come with the way that I look, which contradicts my the way I've been brought up, and the culture that I've been exposed to. So I've been wanting to like sort of channel some of those sentiments, and also write something in spoken word like Misty and Funeral Flowers. And so that Sunday I just started writing. I had this idea, and I was like, that's it. I started writing, and then on the Monday I emailed Stephen back and was like, I'm not sure if I can do this, because at the time I was supposed to be going to the Fringe with the National Youth Theatre. But it's a shame, because I've just started writing a woman show that focuses heavily on the character's mixed race experience, being part white, part Black, something that's close to home for me. And it's written in spoken word like Misty and Funeral Flowers. Like, I don't know if it'd be, suitable, like, let me know. And he was like, that is exactly the sort of thing I'm looking for. Have you got a draft you can send me? And I was like, oh, I had 5 pages. I was like, I can either send you what I have so far. You can wait till it's done. He was like, send me what you have so far. And I was just there like,
You were
oh
really hoping for the
God.
second bit, like, or you can wait.
Yeah,
No, I
I
want
was
it
just
now.
like, damn. So I was like, oh, well, I best email it because that's all I have. It might have been about 8 pages by that point. And I sent it to him and he was like, when can you meet? I want to speak to you about this. And I was like, okay.
Right.
So we met up and I told him the whole idea. And he was like, I want this to be the 4th show in the festival. And I was like, okay, I need to write a play. So yeah, it was very, very bizarre how it came about. And it was actually after doing This Is Black that I was able to accept my Black identity. And like it was actually not just a journey as a performer and a playwright, but a journey personally. For my identity. And so like now I identify as being Black or Black mixed race, because I felt like I was able to accept that side of me because it was accepted.
Yeah, that's fascinating. Wow, what a, again, trial by fire for you. Geez, so much time pressure. That's fantastic though.
For time pressure though, so that was so this was happening in 2nd year, and I had a lot on in my 3rd term of 2nd year. So I'd just been cast as Benedict in Much Ado About Nothing, and it was a site-specific show. So I was working on that, and then I'd also just got cast in because I pulled out of the Fringe with the National Youth Theatre to focus on my show. But then I got cast in a spoken word show that the National Youth Theatre were taking to Latitude Festival, which was in July before my show was supposed to take place and stuff. And then we were doing short films and there was all this stuff going on. I was also assistant directing a show that was going to the Tristan Bates Theatre, and that was I was doing in my own time. And so there was like so much going on that by the time I got to rehearsals, I had half the play, and I had less than 2 weeks to put it on. And my director, Janet, shout out to Janet Etuck, she was incredible, very patient with me. And I was just panicking, being like, Janet, I have half a show. She's like, it's fine, Macadie. We're just, we'll work on what you've got. And then over the weekend, you can like write the second half.
No pressure.
I had the biggest writer's block that weekend. And then it got to the Wednesday before the Monday of previews. And I sat down and wrote the second half of the show. And then, so the Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, we had to rehearse it, get it up, memorize it, block it, and then the Sunday tech it, and then Monday went on. That was the most stress of my life, I think.
Yeah. What is it that draws you to spoken word? Because it's quite a unique sort of style of theatre that perhaps not your general public would go to it. I'd find it's more of a niche audience. That's probably the words I'm looking for. What is it that draws you to spoken word performances?
Just gonna have a sip of water.
Yeah, you do.
So I started writing poetry like I kind of started properly when I was about 17. I like dabbled a little bit when I was 16 because I did English literature for A level, and we had to like write some stuff for that, and I kind of gained an appreciation more for poetry than I'd had before. And then I kind of started writing poetry myself as an outlet more than anything. I think I've always been quite bad at expressing how I feel, especially if it's negative emotions. Right. So I kind of used poetry as an outlet of like, I can't express how I feel, but if I write it down, I can.
Okay.
And so I started doing that, and then I did this project, which actually fell through in the end. But I met this guy called Gabriel Acamo, who's also with the National Youth Theatre, and he would perform a lot of his poetry as well and did a lot of spoken word. And he was like, "Oh, you should come along and perform yours." And I was like, oh, "God, okay, all right." And I went along to one of his events and like watched him and watched the poets and stuff. And then he hosted an open mic night, and I went along and I performed, I think, 2 of my poems, and was like, "Wow, like I love this." Right. And then when I went to Madrid, I I was writing a lot of poetry, and then any chance I had an opportunity to perform it, I would.
Right. Yeah.
And so it kind of became my default way of writing. So when it came to writing a play, I was kind of like, I don't really know how to write, but in spoken word and in poetry.
Yeah.
And it also, when I saw Misty, which is by Arinze Kenny, I was just like, I cried because I was so moved by it, but also because it was something that he kind of did everything that I wanted to do. And so it was one of those experiences like, this is what I want to do. And I just thought it was incredible. And it was very lyrical and poetic. And yeah. So, and also Funeral Flowers wasn't spoken word as well. So it kind of made sense to me when I was going to write my play that it would be. And in a sense, actually, the spoken word really helped the journey of the writing for me, because it helped by trying to find the words that fit, kind of pushed the story along. And I feel like if I hadn't written it in spoken word the first time round, I don't think I would have had a show.
Right.
Which is kind of bizarre, because now I'm working on my third draft. I've actually decided to cut the spoken word.
Right. Okay.
Because now I think I've got to a point where I know the play so well that it's almost a limiting factor.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Don't know if
really
I answered your question.
No, absolutely. And it's yeah, I mean, you must forgive me. I'm extremely ignorant on spoken word performances. It's not something that I have gone out of my way to look into, or watch per se, or read or listen to, I guess, as well as the sort of flip side of that. For if there's anyone who happens to be watching this that is interested in spoken word, what would your advice be on how to get started on specifically with spoken word? Either performances or even just writing. If performing it isn't your thing, but you want to have a shot at writing it, what would you say to someone who's wants to give it a shot but doesn't know how to?
I would say watch as many people who do it as possible, because everyone has a different style. And I think it's important to, develop your own and do what's comfortable for you. But yeah, I think like with anything, if you want to be a good writer, they say like read as much as possible, or watch as many TV shows or films as possible. And I think it's I think the same rule applies. Like watch as many people do spoken word as possible. See what they do, see what you like, and then try your hand. And for want of a less cheesy phrase, let it flow.
No, brilliant.
Yeah, no, you can cut that bit.
That's totally staying in.
Yeah, and I think but it also comes from a very personal place. I think when you watch people do spoken word, you can, I think as well, my love of it comes from a love of words. I absolutely like my love of languages, my love of language in general, and words. I just love the way that they fit together. I'm kind of like, I kind of feel kind of nerdy with that. And when it comes to my writing, I'm quite specific about what words I want to use. And so when you watch someone who does spoken word, and if it's a poem they've written themselves, you can often feel the like where it's come from and the passion of it. And so yeah, I guess write what's true to you. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Fair enough. Well, we will wrap it up there with a final question. But first of all, thank you so much for coming on today. It's been honestly fascinating. I really hope people have enjoyed sort of hearing about your experiences and hearing about how your sort of passion for your craft, and that suddenly come through. But I guess to wrap up, do you have something? As you said, watch as much as you can. Now, this isn't necessarily about spoken word, this question, but do you have something that relights your fire, as it were? Like, do you have a film or a show or a poem that you can watch and then be sort of reinvigorated to go back and get back on the train?
Oh, that's a very good question. I feel like this is going to sound almost like a cop-out answer, but I feel like good drama, like good TV dramas, and like any good piece of writing, really, like when I watch it or read it, I'm kind of like, I need to do this. I need to do something. And So yeah, watching I May Destroy You, for example, because Michaela Cole, she wrote a one-woman show called Chewing Gum Dreams, which then got made into a TV series.
Really?
And then she's obviously done I May Destroy You recently. And so like watching any of her work has been very inspirational to me, because I'm like, well, I've got my one-woman show. So like, like watching her journey is kind of like, okay. But obviously I know that that's not necessarily going to be my journey at all.
Yeah,
I mean, I wish, but
yeah.
but yeah, I say consume as much as possible. And I would say as well, if there's particular people who you admire, like follow their career, look at what they've done, look at their process, and learn from that. And yeah, I kind of just like I'm listening to an audiobook of a crime drama at the moment. It's a
Sure.
crime novel, and that's kind of really inspiring me. And I'm kind of like, oh, maybe I should write novels. I mean, I don't think I have the patience, but yeah,
So it's
any sort of
interesting
form
though.
of good writing.
Yeah, I mean, just to tag on to what you said there about you don't know how to write a novel. So I've been writing myself, but a feature film, but I have to write it in prose first, and so it is in novel form, and then I can go right now, and like up the margins is like, even though I'm writing it as a novel to be put into a script, I write. And people say you shouldn't do this, but I find it helps me because I see my story through camera shots, and I go, right, well, that'll be like that. And so in the corners, like little things like camera will do this, or this is the action for this bit. But no, I completely understand that sort of urge when you watch something. Do you ever have, sorry, promise final question. Do you ever have an entire story? You could be watching something and then an entire story just ping into your mind and go, oh God, that's my next play or creation.
I wish it happened more often.
Sure.
I think with my play, I started with the ending actually. So I kind of knew the ending and I knew the beginning, and so it was kind of trying to find what happens in between to get to that point. But yeah, oh gosh, I wish the whole story would come to me. I came up with an idea for a film the other day. I have not written it down or anything, but I'm like, that would be cool. But again, it's literally just that is literally just the premise and the beginning, and I don't have any idea of how it would end or where it would go. But I wish I did. No, I guess the answer is no.
No. Fair enough. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. It's been absolutely lovely having you on, Macadie. And yeah, everyone follow Macadie on Instagram. We'll try and tag all the people you mentioned as well. And yeah, everyone make something creative. Take her advice there. And but yeah, stay safe, stay creative, and we'll see you next time.